speaking of all this complaint about racism with a queer lisp, let's jump over to Reddit, okay? Now, they're petrified over on Reddit about the threat of ICE coming into Maine. They're trying to coordinate as fast as they can to protect whatever the fuck a brown Mainer is. I have no clue what the hell. It's amazing how people are just self-identifying like this. I'm a brown Mainer. What the fuck does that mean? Talk about subcategorizing yourself down into like completely losing your humanity. Like, what is the point of reducing yourself? I'm a brown Mainer. I think there's probably a little bit more to you than that, Chief. Maybe you want to think that statement through a little bit more. Let's stop with these hyphenated things. You're a Mainer, especially if you were born here to begin with. Act like it. But let's read these people's comments. So we have from the Frozen Hawaiian. Gee, I wonder. And so this person says, the ICE convoy headed in Maine from New Hampshire. Anyone seen or heard anything? Heard this rumor from a few people this morning? Anyone heard anything or seen anything supporting it? Now, of course, this has been locked because, you know, we don't want it to get too crazy. We don't want the racists to come in here and say anything. So Tony Flags, I think he actually added the L in there by accident, but I'm not going to say the other word, okay? Because, you know, it's a family show. It's a family show. Anyway, it says right here, the lead comment from the mod says, the brigading trolls have found the post locked to prevent any rule-breaking posts that could get it removed by Reddit admins. So there you go. Because the conversation wasn't going the way they wanted, the mods locked it down. So let's find out what's going on here with the first commenter who got awards and was so celebrated. He's number 1% commenter, by the way. Oh, 1%. I thought the 1%ers were the enemy. Anyway, this is Umami Ice Cream, Friends with a Moose. This person's proud of it. Says, Brown Mainer here. More than anything, I'm keeping a very close eye on which of my neighbors gleefully call for this theatrical bullcrap. If anything, this whole situation has made it easy to identify the people who struggle to accept that others exist. I have a map of where my property ends, and I know my rights. Cool. If you're legal, there's nothing to worry about, Chief. Apparently, again, the Democrats keep ginning up their base and telling them, like, oh man, if you're not this color, you're going to get thrown in the back of ICE and get sent to Uganda. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Now you see why these people act so freaked out when ICE shows up, because they've been told that it doesn't matter what you look like. They'll throw you in on a plane and they'll drop you out over the ocean. And then we have Rudd Beck Hirtas. I think somebody like bashed their face off the keyboard to come up with that name. But anyway, White Mainer here, wishing so much you didn't have to effing do any of this. I don't know you, but you're in my thoughts. Remember when they said thoughts and prayers were useless? Strange. But you're in my thoughts. F the absolute cowards who endorse this. Then we have Chris Cross, 98, saying, if ICE is hanging out around high schools, make sure your children are aware of their surroundings. ICE is targeting non-white people, U.S. citizen or not. Have talks with your kids about what to do if they notice anyone in military fatigues, masks, vests. Kids and teenagers should probably hide in school until they depart. Maybe there are better methods for staying safe, but just be on the lookout. Be safe. Take care. Wow. Wow. The racism. Anyway, we have Typical Light here saying, ugh, sorry, fellow Mainer, praying heart emoji. History won't shine kindly on these evil people who tortured people and terrorized our marginalized communities. Wow. Brave. Brave and bold. That's what that was. It was stunning and brave. That was stunning and brave. We have Bro Bastion here. That's kind of a fun one. I might steal that. Bro Bastion saying this. He says, beware anyone in your area with Trump regalia. My neighbor was gleefully telling me about reporting some coworkers. He's got a big old flag in the yard. Big old flag, huh? I hate that because I look like them, they always assume I am hateful and on their wavelength. You can fix that, pal. Just cover yourself in face tattoos, and nobody on MAGA will ever ask you for anything other than to put the fries in the bag, Chief, okay? I'm just telling you, if you want to make sure that they don't get confused, just cover yourself in face tattoos. You know, a couple neck tattoos, they'll get the picture. Anyway, we have Hamakabi here. Ooh, my. Ooh, Hamakabi. It says, I hate because I look like, he's quoting this other person. He says, this has always been one of my favorite parts of being a Jew. What the fuck is that? Okay. This has always been one of my favorite parts of being a Jew. White racists just out themselves without having to play games. It's like wearing racial camo. Wow. Deep. You guys are like the 007 of hunting down racism. Too many movies, guys. Too many movies. The Neon Crow says, I had a best friend years ago that looked at someone and said, quote, don't think that because I share your color that I share your prejudice or small-minded thinking. Wow. 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 I don't know about you, but I feel like a bajillion% less racist now after reading that stupid bullshit. Yeah. These are the same people that'll tell you that Asian hate isn't real and that Asians performing in school better than any other demographic is bad, so they have to be downplayed at places like Harvard. Go ahead and Google that, by the way, how Harvard exercised extreme racist prejudice against Asian students because they outperformed everybody else. But hey, that's the racism that's okay. The other kind, that's not okay, but this kind, that's okay. Anyway, and we have Happy Baker saying, love this saying. Well, good for you, dear. I'm glad. We have Pedostro. There we go. You might want to be careful about saying that one too fast. That sounds a little different when you say it too fast. But they say, not to tell you what to do as you have to live with your neighbor next door, but I think I would have said, who does that? Who rats out people just trying to live and make a better life for themselves and family? It's so un-American. And I would have walked away. Not speaking up when you can gives these people a false sense and that everyone agrees with them and they do not have to think about their actions nor have consequences. I don't know what that's supposed to be, but anyway. So this person is, of course, jacked up on their own, like, righteousness. You know, I'm the coolest person. Like, wow. Can you imagine if one of your neighbors walked up and said something you barely understood and then decided to walk away like they had won something? Wow. It's like that never happens, right? You never get dressed down by your liberal neighbor who's just rattling off some crazy psychopathic crap at you, and then they just walk off like they won something. It never happens. Anyway, Bro Bastion replies, because this is important. They've got to coordinate. They've got to let everybody know that they did their best, but the racism was too dank. The racism was just too dank. Anyway, Bro Bastion says, I tried that approach with them in the beginning, but there was no breaking through to them. I tried explaining that, no, actually, not everyone cheats on their taxes, and everything is not a hoax. Just doesn't work. Oh, no. Can you imagine speaking to somebody who just is ideologically walled off from what you're trying to tell them? Wow, that would you just never see that on the left, right? Them being completely walled off to reality. Yeah, that never happens, huh? It's It's only the right that does that with our big old flags, you know? Oh, man. And then we have I am Janabot. And she says, my fiance is brown as well. And I live in a constant state of anxiety about him being mistaken and harassed, or worse. I can't imagine how you must feel. Stay safe. Love you, neighbor. Blue heart. Redden and Weep says, have copies or originals of all his documents. You might need them. And I am Janabot replies with, I have his passport on standby in case I have to go anywhere, as well as copies of his birth certificate and a photocopy of his driver's license. Hopefully it never comes to that, but I am ready to go to war if I have to. They sound like Muppets, don't they? This is like something Jim Henson would write, right? They sound like Muppets. We have John Proof saying, I know several people doing that, and I just want to make it really clear what we're seeing. American citizens now also live in genuine fear of being abducted by our government. Not only is it horrible this is happening, but it's horrible that even this is still totally acceptable to Trump supporters. The thing I hate most about Trump is he's shown me what bastards so many of my countrymen are. We have biodiversity here saying, yep, kind of the definition of terrorism. Enforcing the law is terrorism now, by the way, just so you know. Heads up. Heads up. It's terrorism now to enforce the law. Biodiversity again has to chime in, and he says, heck, I'm white, and I have been wondering if I should print out my ancestry back 400 years. Buddy, if you're legal, there's not going to be a problem. Like, I don't have ICE agents knocking on my door. You want to know why? Because I was born here. Crazy, right? Crazy. We have Jim Stencil saying, sorry you were being made to feel this way. I hope you know you have friends in your community. You aren't alone no matter how much they try to make you feel like you are. Fist emoji. Solidarity forever. Working class Mainers, unite! They're trying so hard to make this limp-wristed socialist revolution start, and it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to be the Red Terror. It's not going to be the Bolsheviks. They're just Starbucks, limp-wristed, keyboard warriors that are all ginning themselves up for some conflict, but bop, and they're done. The old Windows restart MP3 plays there, and they get bopped in the face because the worst thing that's ever happened to them is they've maybe stubbed their toe. But most of the time, the worst thing that's ever happened to these people are their student loans. They've never had any adversity or strife or struggle ever enter their lives. And so this contest over enforcing the law is the scariest, most dangerous thing that they have ever witnessed in their entire stupid lives. Okay? Crazy. But that's enough of these lispy queers.